Morning, everyone. So, I'm not originally from Fort Wayne, and relocating is hard. It's especially difficult when you're 12 and you've grown a foot over the summer. That's me, in case you're curious. In the year 2000, my father's business went south, and so my family, we headed north from Bloomington to Fort Wayne. And when I was moving here, we had AOL at home, and it was brand new at the time. The year 2000, very exciting times. But I was able to use the internet to do image searches of what I saw about Fort Wayne. And a lot of my perceptions of the city were dictated by experiences I had had here as a child visiting family, and images I saw on the internet. And everything I saw was sort of retro, but in the worst way, or at least that's the way I felt. And 15 years later, even though so much has changed in Fort Wayne, not a lot's progressed. Our city, Fort Wayne, Indiana, is on the rise. We are continually making top 10 lists for affordability, livability, and quality of life. It's a really incredible time to be living here. I mean, we've got projects like the Ash Brokerage Building and all of those exciting things about the riverfront. It's incredible. I'm really excited to be a part of the city. If you would have told me this in 2007 when I was getting ready to move off and go to university, I probably would have stayed. I ended up staying for a different reason. In 2007, I lost my mother to cancer here, and I stayed to be with family. This period of my life was the first time I ever picked up a camera, and it's this that photography allowed light to pour into the dark parts of my life, and allowed me to reframe the way I viewed myself, my experiences, and eventually my city. What really transformed my view of Fort Wayne is when I went car-free in 2011. I had just moved downtown after a bad breakup, and I had a nice little studio apartment in West Central. And I was just working down the street at Starbucks, and I was making coffee and making even more friends. And we'd explore the streets at night and take rides across the river. We'd enjoy the historic neighborhoods and the scenic streets. And strangely, it was everything I had ever wanted. And it was during this time that I began to feel like a tourist. As I would explore these neighborhoods, it would remind me of my time in France as I explored the river valleys. And I began to see each of the different neighborhoods in Fort Wayne as their own unique villages, connected and unified by the rivers. And it was during this time that I began to fall in love with design and its capabilities to transform and recreate the spaces around us. And I became infatuated with the way these little bits of invisible genius were hidden around us. And so I began to design up different flags. We'll get to that in a second. So in 2011, I posted my first picture to Instagram a couple years ago. This was it, just light coming in through my blinds, which is wonderfully symbolic of just how photography has poured light into my life. And since then, I've taken over 10,000 photos of downtown Fort Wayne. Its people, its rivers, its buildings, its culture. I posted a few of those. Most of them are just hidden away in a hard drive, never to be found by anyone. But photography allowed me to see the city in a different way. And as I would bike around the city, my mind would race with the potential for this city. And as I was biking around and I felt all of this civic pride, I'd look around and I wouldn't see the symbols of the city that I was looking for. And so I began to do some research if Fort Wayne had a flag. And it turns out in 1916, we had this flag designed by Guy Druitt, who went around door to door selling flags by the guy who drew it. So we have 3 white lines representative of the rivers and 2 stars signifying Fort Wayne as Indiana's second city. In 1934, it was updated by Colonel Driesbach and Guy Druitt to represent the Indians, the French, and the English, and the pioneers. And then just make sure you knew it was Fort Wayne, they wanted to put the text on it. Now, there are actually some really nice versions of this flag downtown without the text, and I don't actually mind those. But earlier this year, I took a great leap forward, and I decided to redesign the city flag, just because it was something I wanted to do. And so I created this confluence design, 3 bold white lines representing the rivers, bringing commerce, culture, and community together in the center. And I plucked one of the stars from the state flag to represent the bright, shining stories of all the myriad cultures and people that will call this area home, and that will continue to create stories here in the future. But why flags? Flags are these invisible bits of design that really serve as rallying cries in the way that sports teams or marketing campaigns really can. They encompass so much more and capture so much more of our imagination. And as I've submitted these designs, I've had an incredible amount of support from the community. I've given out so many stickers. I see them everywhere now, not just on my friends' laptops. It's really great. I've gotten emails from designers across the country. It's been wonderful. However, I've had a few negative reactions, but I've learned to take what I've learned with photography and apply it to what I'm learning with design. So our region is home to incredible natural beauty. The way our rivers look, the way clouds drift in lazily from Lake Michigan. It's really incredible. I'm in love with the nature around here. I'm in love with our downtown. I love all of the photos, or I love all of the buildings and the architecture. You don't find brick like this just anywhere. I'm in love with our opening up culture scene. We've got these incredible musicians doing incredible things right here. But most of all, I like our people. To borrow one of my friend's phrases, I believe that we have a higher quality of people here than anywhere else in the country. And these people are actively shaping the way our city breathes and the way it grows. Take Virginia Albino, for example. If any of you listen to NPR, you'll know Virginia is one of our reporters. And she brings award-winning journalism to Northeast Indiana, and she is pushing our story forward. Or maybe you know Ben Carr, electric wizard and frontman of Heaven's Gateway Drugs. He organizes kickball every Sunday at Lawton Park. It's really fun. You should come play. And he also is a member of the Beard and Mustache Society, which promotes and educates the accolades of beard and mustaches and helps out the community of less fortunate in growth and luck. Then there's also Rena Burden. Rena and her partner Pat taught for years in South Korea before deciding to call Fort Wayne home. Rena works with Arts United, pushing our culture forward. And so I tell you all of these stories about people because I came across a phrase when I was doing research and when I was a young child about Fort Wayne was the city that saved itself in the 80s. We banded together against the floodwaters and we were able to do something great. And I believe that's still true today. And so this phrase, the city that saved itself, I began to think about all of my friends and all of the people that I know that are involved in the city that are doing incredible things here. We're making this place our home. We're building it block by block. And together we're creating these local places. And we're all familiar with the phrase from Gandhi, be the change you want to see in the world. But I urge you today to be the change you want to see in your city. And so as we move forward and as we connect ideas, what matters is that we show up. We have to work. Fort Wayne is big enough and it's small enough for everyone to have a voice here. And so what I challenge you today is be your brand. Raise the banner here. Plant your flags. Be the city that saved itself. Join us.